Okay, good morning. Good morning. Old guy, man, you know, talking about not getting sleep. When I saw my neurologist last week, I told her that, the pills, I'm going to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and regular clockwork somewhere between 1:30 and 2:30, I'm waking up in pain. So she gave me a new prescription. She upped one of my prescriptions. It's supposed to work in conjunction with the gabapentin to control the nerve pain. Well, I got the prescription filled on Saturday, but Saturday, I'd been up since 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30. Then we went and did Sam's Club run, and by the time it was all said and done, we walked over a mile, which for me to walk over a mile is that's really pushing my daily walk. And then Saturday night I took my pill, because I was supposed to take it at night with my gabapentin. And I slept until 6 o'clock Sunday morning or Monday morning. Sunday night I took the pill. Monday morning I slept until 6 o'clock. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. I got extra. No, no, I slept till 4 o'clock. I got a whole extra 2 hours of sleep that I normally don't get. 2.5 hours of sleep. Absolutely wonderful. Last night, take the pill. Monday night, take the pill. What time am I up this morning? A quarter till two. Uh, old guy, it sounds like you need to go, get that prostate checked out. So that's one of the things I did. Just to make certain it wasn't the prostate, bladder issue causing it. I went and got the old blood work and finger wave done. Oh wow, 4 hour nap. Ooh, I wish I knew what it was like to be able to take a 4 hour. I wish I knew what it was like to be able to take a half-hour nap. That's not going to happen in my house because either the animals or the wife is going to wake me up. One of the two, or one of the three. Well, the cat's pretty good until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and until 4, because 4:15, 4:30 is when we feed him, and he starts getting hungry at 3 o'clock, and he starts letting me know that he's hungry at 3 o'clock. I've had that. I'm not gonna lie. I've had that. I'm sitting here reading a book and doze off reading. I've had that happen. Uh, that's why I pretty much quit reading, sitting down to read, and start, doing audiobooks more and more, because I can do the audiobooks while I'm up and about doing things. But if I'm sitting down reading a book or reading a magazine, like my concealed weapons gun magazine came in, Concealed Carry magazine came in yesterday, and I was sitting down reading a couple of articles out of it, and I started to doze a little bit, so I had to get up, walk around. Oh, you went to bed to nap? Ooh. No, that's not a nap. That's to go to sleep. Napping is when you're sitting down on the couch or in your lazy boy, you're in your chair, you're in your nice comfy chair and your eyelids closed. That's a nap. If you go back to the bed, man, that's no nap. That's I'm going back and going to sleep. Yeah, this week or this month's Concealed Carry magazine has got some really good articles in it. Um, that I really like. A lot of their question and answer letters to the editor section's always good. They're they do carry a lot of advertisements, but there's some of them that some of them have paid off. Uh, if I were to get another small pistol, I would probably get the Sneaky Pete um, belt holster for a small pistol. But I don't know if I'll ever get anything smaller than my Glock that I carry. Um, Adding here for the new 990 Aftershock semi-automatic 12 gauge. It's got a 14 and 3/4 or 18 and a half barrel. But I'm not. If I'm as much over style as substance when it comes to something like that, and I would want to get a mare's leg if I was to go for a short-barreled shotgun or a short-barreled rifle. I'd go ahead and just get a mare's leg. If I wanted to get a rifle, I'd probably get the that double barrel pump. 'Cause I really like that double barrel pump. That thing is ugly. That thing is so ugly. It's good looking. So, but yeah, I'm a big fan of this Concealed Carry magazine. There's always a lot of good information in it. Right here this month, it's got a "Can I when force is justified and when it isn't," and it's written by a police officer. Um, so that, of course, they're going more, and they actually seem to push their shoulder holsters, and I'm maybe it's because I'm fat, but I'm just not a fan of shoulder holsters. Maybe it's because I'm not thin enough and I don't wear a suit jacket. That makes me that way, but that's just the truth. I'm just not a big fan of shoulder holsters. I mean, they look good for people who can get away with them. But that's just not me. I'm not the person who can get away carrying out that shoulder holster thing. So, uh, anyway, what's it? Oh, got the proposed. Anyway, property taxes are going up again. They want to build another school, replace one of the schools that we've got. So they want to build a new one, a fancy one. I think that's part of the problem with schools today is they keep wanting to incorporate all this technology into the school. And I think some of the technology just goes too far in some areas, but not far enough in others. Um, because of what's gone, and I know this is completely off topic from what I've got planned for today, but I truly want cameras in every classroom. So that parents can listen in, watch and listen in on what's going on in the classes. I truly want that. I'm not saying the schools have to pay or need to get cloud storage because that would be uh, grossly cost prohibitive. But I do think that parents should be able to. Uh, little Johnny, little Jane is in science class right now. Let me listen in on what's going on in their science class. They're in history class. They're in uh, American government class. Let's listen in on what's going on in these classes. I, when this phone ban in the schools that a lot of states, including Florida, has enacted, I'm both for and against them. Yes, I think that a lot that the students with their phones have gotten way too distracted and not paying attention to the classes, not paying attention to the teachers, and spend more time doing, texting back and forth and possibly even cheating on tests using their cell phones. However, we would not know what's going on in these classes if it weren't for the students having the cell phones and recording the teachers and then posting it to social media to where we knew what was going on. We could see what the teachers were doing. And I just think it's right that the parents have the right to know what's happening in the classroom, especially since there has been so much misconduct by teachers found because of kids recording what's going on. And the schools not being able to cover it up. Like what's happening in Loudoun County here, quite a while back. I think it happened last year. A girl pretending to be a boy went into the boys' locker room and did some recording last school season. And the boys ended up being punished for it because they heard that, that's a girl, get her out of here. And she went and proclaimed, well, I'm a trans boy, therefore I'm allowed in here, and how dare you call me a girl, yada, yada, yada. The boys ended up getting punished for it, and it was all wrong. Well, the school trying to downplay what went on with the whole thing. Well, none of the boys got reported naked. They were all clothed, and it wasn't that great of a violation. No, the rules are cameras aren't allowed in the locker room. Cameras aren't allowed in the bathrooms. Cameras aren't allowed in the shower area. No pictures allowed. And she's in there making movies. So, yeah, that's, but the school boards and Loudoun County, I mean, my God, how much more trouble are they willing to get into? That school district, how much more trouble are they going to get themselves into? Protecting predators. And yes, girls can be predators. I've had my butt grabbed more than once when I was a young man in the NCO club by a drunken female. I must have had a nice looking butt back in the day. But okay, I am going to start off with football. And this just makes me all kinds of happy when I saw this. Because I am and have been my entire life a Cleveland Browns fan. The Cleveland Browns have officially named Joe Flacco as the team's week one starter following the quarterback circus involving Shedeur Sanders all offseason. Shedeur Sanders he may be a decent ball player, but his attitude, his entire being, and being Barry Sanders' son, and what Barry did, he's toxic. He is absolutely toxic. There are going to be teams I won't play for, or my daddy won't let me play for certain teams. Well, if you get drafted by that team, buddy, you're going to play for them. And then rather than going to the draft, he went and had a room specially made up with the jerseys and hats of the teams that he thought that he should be drafted by. So he could put on that hat. He had them up on the wall, remember? When the Browns got him, I was like, oh, crap. need another one of these self-styled quarterbacks that are going to carry the team to greatness on their shoulders. When's Cleveland going to learn? I mean, we went through the LeBron Pui, James Pui session with the Cavaliers. When the Browns went through their session, I don't even remember that idiot's name out of Florida. I remember that he was out I think he was out of SSU. And it turned out he was an alcoholic that couldn't play worth a damn. He had no self-control. When he was in college, he didn't have self-control. He had team, the coaches and everybody rode the team like hawks. But he gets out of college and gets into the pros and gets money, and boom, he out there trying to become a playboy and shows up to practice drunker than hell. And then can't throw the ball, can't run with the ball, can't hand off the ball. I'm glad to see him go. So Sanders will not be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And all I can say is thank God, thank goodness for that. I'm glad to see that happen. So, yeah. I mean, he's the one that shows up to a preseason game, and one of the kids asked him to sign an autograph, and he shows up and says, hey, I'm going out to play a game. It doesn't look good to be signing autographs. Yeah, I'm about to play a game. It's not a great look to be signing a autograph, to be signing stuff. But he shows up and he's got a whole flock of people with him. His entourage with him when he shows up to the stadium. So, yeah, when you show up to a game, you don't show up with 30 people in tow with you there, Sanders. You get out of your car, you pull in the parking lot, you get out of your car, you grab your bag if you need to, and you walk on into the stadium and to the locker room to get changed. So, Sanders, goodbye. Glad to see you gone. Farewell. Glad to see you riding the bench. J.D. Vance got canceled this past week. J.D. Vance's awkward moment after pub owned by Meghan Markle florist refuses to serve him. Pub in the Cotswolds was faced with chaos after dinner reservations were made for Vice President J.D. Vance. Vance was on a family holiday with his wife and 3 children. His visit to the UK is caused controversy after locals hit out at him for making their life hell due to multiple car police convoys and buzzing helicopters. And now one group of staff took matters in their own hands. Vance had reservations at the Bull Pub, which entertained former U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris last week. The workers were unimpressed with the planned visit from the Vance clan and threatened to walk out if his reservation was honored. It was very widely believed locally that the staff refused to serve Vance, but the Bull is keeping quiet about it. The mutinous staff said they wouldn't come to work if they had to serve Vance and his wife, facing staff grumbles and barrage of negative press. The Bull refused his patronage. Yeah. Okay. I mean, no one, hey, I mean, if a restaurant makes a reservation and the staff entirely refuses to serve them, that's bad on the restaurant. Okay, that gives that restaurant a bad, it makes some people happy, it makes other people mad. All right, and if this had been that they refused to serve Kamala, the media would be bashing them as being haters and disrespecters and racists and sexist. But this is JD Vance, the staff is, hey, they're brave. They took matters into their own hands. When I was in the Air Force and Bill Clinton came to the base. When Air Force, they evacuated the base. And they said anybody still on base when, in these, certain areas, all right, anybody still on base, all right, you had to close all the blinds in your windows. You couldn't look out the windows. You couldn't go out and stand along the street to see the vehicles go by, the entourage go by. They took the bullets out of the cops' guns. The Sky Cops were not allowed to have any bullets with them. They had their guns, but no bullets. Evidently, they didn't trust the Sky Cops to not shoot Bill Clinton. So, what can I say? Did that get any negative press? No. In fact, very little press was ever made of it. The only people people like me who was there, we talked about it, but the press never said anything about it. Did they shut down the highways? Yeah, they shut down the highway. When they came out. But they shut down the highway when G.W. Bush came out. Now, I wouldn't active duty anymore when Bush was president. But so I don't know what they did on base when Air Force One landed, if they followed the same protocols or not. I just know what they did when Bill Clinton landed. So restaurants have the right to refuse service to anybody they want. Hotel staff have got staff have got the right not to want to serve somebody. Is it a good look on a hotel not to want on a hotel or restaurant not to want to serve somebody because they politically disagree with them? It's only a good look if it's a liberal or just a. The only good look if it's liberals refusing to serve a, a, a Republican. Then it's a good look because they're brave. But if it's a liberal that's being refused to be served, well, that's not such a good look. That's mean. Now, Vance's camp downplayed the alleged incident, with the source saying the bull was included as a potential option for lunch. But the family ultimately decided not to go. There was never any indication from the bull that he or his family were not welcome. I'm sorry, guys, just be honest. Just be honest and say, yeah, they told us we couldn't, Bull said if we showed up, there wouldn't be anybody there to serve us. Be honest about it. Don't try to save face. Because you don't have need to save face. You were refused service by an establishment. I just say, yeah, these people didn't want my money. They refused service. And let the chips fall where they may. But be honest about it. Don't try to make it look. Don't try to make the situation look better. It does. I mean, honestly, people like me, you got refused service. Okay, well, they're a bunch of jerks. Okay, they're a bunch of jerks for not wanting to serve you. That's my opinion. It doesn't make you look any worse than your supporters are going to be your supporters regardless. Those that don't like you, who don't support you, they're not going to, no matter what happens, they're going to sit there and laugh and cheer and call whoever did the mean things. They're going to call them brave and honor them. So just be upfront about it. Hey, yeah, we want to go there, and well, we couldn't go there because we got word that their staff wasn't going to serve us. It's like these reports here during the when Zelensky was at the White House with Trump yesterday. And JD was sitting there doing what he's supposed to do, being quiet, sitting there. And He didn't interrupt. He didn't. He had nothing to say. He was there as an observer. He wasn't there in a speaking part, in a leadership part. Others said they were happy that Vance had kept quiet, remained silent, kept his mouth shut, and refrained from making any smart-ass look-at-me comments. Users from the outside the USA also chimed in. Thank God that Vance wasn't allowed to say anything. That Estonian entrepreneur Alvar Lagana, whoever the hell that is. See how much smoother things go when JD Vance stays silent. One Canadian commented, Vance is being awfully quiet like a good little boy. While a Swedish speaker on Blue Sky, okay, remember, Blue Sky is a liberal site. Anytime Vance stays silent is a win for humanity. So, I mean, these aren't supporters of Vance getting the headlines here. These are people who don't like Vance to start with getting all the headlines for derogatory comments. But they're being praised for the derogatory comments. They're not being shamed for them, they're being praised for them. So, you can't win for losing when it comes to these people. So why try? Why try? When the media doesn't like you, they're going to go to your enemies and pump them up. Just like when the media likes you, they're going to go to your friends and pump them up. So don't. So I mean, don't try to defend them. Don't try to make them look better. Don't try to downplay what they say. When people say things bad about you, don't try to be the bigger person and downplay what they're saying or try to spin it to help them save face or something, or you think you're making yourself save face. No, yeah, we wanted to go there, but their staff said that they wouldn't, that nobody would serve us. I'll be upfront with it. Uh, J- JD, don't try, don't mollycoddle him, mollycoddle, coddle, mollycoddle. Don't worry about it. If they don't want to be there, they don't want to be there. Okay, y'all heard. Uh, well, I'm glad I didn't share this thing yet. Y'all heard about the illegal that became a police officer somehow or another. The state of Maine allowed an illegal to become a cop. Just like California allowed the illegals to get CDLs, which upon further investigation, I found out it's actually illegal. It's against the law for illegals to get CDL. And while I was saying yesterday that it should be, it turns out it actually is. actually is illegal for an illegal to have a CDL. And there are people out there who are suggesting that everybody involved in allowing that illegal to get their CDL, from the testers to the employers to whoever signed off on his test allowing him to get his CDL license, they should all be held liable and be sued by the families of the 3 people killed. I don't know if that would be feasible. And you can't, I don't think that you can sue the state for wrongfully issuing him the driver's license. That would be interesting to see. Um, that'd be interesting to see how Newsom would react to California as a state, him as the governor, being held liable in court civilly for the deaths of those 3 people because his state issued a CDL driver's license to somebody who was in the country illegally, that turned around, drove across the country and killed 3 people. That'd be interesting, and I'd love to see Newsom's response to it. And I'd love to see somebody in the press actually ask Newsom about it. Hey, what do you think about the illegal with the California driver's license who went to Florida and killed 3 people on the highway? What's your response to that? That would be something. But anyway, Maine's, I had this police officer, this illegal who became a police officer. And he was arrested by ICE. He is self-deporting. ICE arrested the Old Orchard Beach Police Department's reserve officer. And a reserve officer, for those, it's like being in the Army Reserve or the Air Force Reserve. My father was a reserve officer for many years. In fact, for a while, he was the head reserve officer. All the reserve officers worked under him. And they had 4, right? They were sworn officers. It's just they did not work full time with the police department. They were called out for times when additional police officers were needed. All home football games, high school football games, they were all called out. The parades, they were called out for parades. What else was usual for them to be called out for? Home basketball games, football games. Baseball games never was seen to be a problem. Just football and basketball. Sometimes for funerals, they'd get called out. uh, 4th of July, 4th of July parade, of course. But, they actually have arrest power. And they would get paid and everything. So, but anyway, okay, Reserve Officer John Jon Luke Evans of Jamaica, as part of the agency's effort to step up immigration enforcement. Officials with the town and police department said federal authorities previously told them that Evans was legally authorized to work in the U.S. Under which federal authorities they talked to and when it was. Dollars will get you donuts. It was Biden who, Nice representative told the AP on Monday, yesterday, that a judge has granted voluntary departure for Evans and he could leave as soon as that day. So he's going to self-deport back to Jamaica. Which, hey, that's a good thing. He self-deports, that means he's putting his own ticket to go back. Now, there seems to be a disagreement here over E-Verify. The town says that they use the E-Verify, which I'm a supporter of, to verify whether or not somebody's legally allowed to work in the United States. The town says that they used E-Verify, and E-Verify said, yep, he's allowed to work. And the federal ICE officials are saying that Evans had overstayed his visa and then unlawfully attempted to buy a firearm after he had overstayed his visa. Now, see another thing here about this E-Verify, when did they look it up? I don't know, and it's not in this article. It is possible that he was here on a work visa, and at the time that they punched his numbers in, he was eligible to work. Because at that time, he was still within his visa. But then his visa expired. And at the time that his visa expired, he was no longer eligible to work. Like your driver's license. When your driver's license expires, technically you're no longer allowed to drive. When your license plate expires, mine expires in 2 months, 3 months. Then I'm no longer technically allowed to drive that vehicle on public roads because I won't have a license plate on it. So if there's too many unknowns here to actually take sides, with the exception of the fact the one thing we all do know is that he was still in the country after his visa had expired, and after his visa had expired, he attempted to buy a gun. And at that point, he became illegal and he broke American law. There's a YouTube channel. Let's see. I'm subbed to it. Dangerous something. Let me see if I got a thing from it today. I usually get when they put up a new video. No, it's not there. Um, but it's all about border security and usually Australian border security and what people coming into Australia, the bag searches they go through, the body scans, the pat downs, the questioning. And they've had the same thing, showing United States port of entries, Canadian, British, and Australia. And I think they did New Zealand one year or for one season, which is all good. I mean, and I like watching because it's like, these guys don't play. And they revoke visas almost every show because, it's like there's something hinky about your visa and we don't have to let you in our country. Or you tried to bring too many things illegally into our country. You tried to bring too many foods, too many uh, berries you tried to bring in. And I'm not talking about drugs. I'm talking about foods or plants or seeds, stuffed animals. And they're not all the time, it doesn't happen a lot, but there's been times where they've said, "Man, you just tried to bring too much in. We're just going to revoke your visa and send you back. We're not even going to mess with you." The British one, people smuggling in cigarettes. That's the fun one. Guys, people coming back with suitcases full of cigarettes. A couple of hundred cartons of cigarettes. When you're only allowed to bring back 20 cigarettes and you're bringing back 100 cartons of them, yeah, you're a little bit over the limit. So but there's no reason why we can't. This is just a good example of what other countries do. In Australia, being an island, they've got their navy patrolling their shoreline for anybody attempting to enter the country illegally by boat. Then they've got, anybody flying in has to go through all this other stuff just to get through the airport. And there's times I've watched that show and be, geez, it'd be nice if we did that here to this extent. They've done one or two episodes just about the Navy and the way their Navy patrols the shoreline, the oceans, to ensure that nobody's trying to come in illegally that way. All right. Now, I am a huge fan, ha ha ha, of MSNBC. Now, MSNBC, the MS stands for Microsoft, and the NBC, of course, for the National Broadcasting Corporation. MSNBC started off as a joint cooperation between the two companies. And when it first started, it was supposed to be a new look at the news, a fair look at the news. Now we know how it's turned out. So, but MSNBC is getting rebranded. And they are going to be now called MS Now. And people are saying, I found people. Most surely no one watching. What? Hey, I like that. Left-leaning cable company MSNBC, home to Rachel Maddow and Trump bashing anchors, was derided Monday for the worst rebrand since New Coke after announcing a name change to MS Now. Here's their new logo. My source for news, opinion, and world. The head-scratching acronym for My Source News, Opinion, World was mercilessly mocked. Social media users quipped the Ratings Challenge Network's new name stands for Majorly Skewed News, Overly Woke, or Most Surely No One's Watching. Others simply start calling it BS now. Works too. MSNBC was forced to change its names and create a new logo, which features the red, white, striped flag on a blue background as part of an upcoming spinoff by parent company Comcast to a new publicly traded company called Versant. The spinoff, slated for the end of the year, strips away the cable channel's ties to NBC and iconic Peacock symbol. Yeah, it is so bad. But even MSNBC is so bad, even NBC no longer wants to be even potentially related to them. I don't know what's worse, Versant or My Source News, Opinion, World. Whoever come up with these names deserves to be shown the door. The space between MS and Now left many baffled, with one joking stood for Martin Scorsese and Olivia Wilde. Oh, okay. Obtaining the MS Now domain name may also prove tricky. A current website, msnow.com, is for something called Notarized Snow Vehicles Snowmobile that features text written in Korean. You can thank Obama for giving away the internet. Meanwhile, typing MS Now into a browser redirects the users to a mail delivery service, Marley Spoon, which is affiliated with Martha Stewart. NBC Universal declined to comment. Who would pick a name without checking to see if the domain name was available or trying to buy the domain name? Because you can buy domain names from someone. So NBC Universal declined to comment. As we all know, the Peacock is synonymous with NBC Universal, and the symbol they've decided to keep within the NBCU family. NBC Universal exec Mark Lazarus. You going to raise someone from the dead there, Mark? You going to raise MSNBC, Rachel Maddow's programming, and Good Morning Joe? You going to raise them shows up from the dead? Is that what you're going to be doing? The move comes despite Lazarus assuring rattled NBC staffers that the network wouldn't change the name and logo after the $7 billion spinoff was announced last November. So they lied to their own staffers. I know there's some discussion in the MSNBC name, so you can take that off your worry list of things, Lazarus told staffers during a meeting in January. Well, I mean, when you're used to lying to everybody, lying to your own staff comes second nature. So here is a memo that Lazarus sent to staff explaining the changes. Team, from the moment we announced the creation of Versant, we knew it would mark the beginning of a new journey for us and our iconic brands. Together, we've been focused on building our individual identity and vision for the future while laying a foundation for the continued growth and success of our business. Growth, success, in conjunction with MSNBC. Yeah. Okay. To that end, a few of our brand designs will change in the coming months. As we all know, the Peacock is synonymous with NBC Universal as a symbol they have decided to keep within their family. This gives us the opportunity to chart our own path forward, create distinct brand identities, and establish an independent news organization following this spin. Y'all spin everything pretty good now. Y'all been good at spinning for quite a while. This means we will redesign our logos where the Peacock has been incorporated into our brands. In addition, the new logo MSNBC will debut a new name to accelerate the distinction between MSNBC and the NBC News organizations. Yeah, NBC wants to create all the distance from you guys as they possibly can. I mean, they're not exactly known for telling the truth either, but they're don't want to be tied to what you guys over there actually do. The lies and distortions actually come out of your guys' mouth. While remaining true to our mission and commitment to the audiences. Yeah, true to your mission to lie at every opportunity possible and to pretend that the Democrats have never done anything wrong. Each of these changes will go into effect closer to our spin at the end of the year. More on each of these changes below. My Source News Opinion World. MSNBC will unveil a new name for the network, MS Now, which stands for My Source News Opinion and the World. The new name underscores the brand's mission to serve as a destination for domestic and international breaking news, best-in-class opinion journalism. All y'all do is opinion journalism. That's all you do now. is opinion journalism. I don't call myself a journalist because I'm not, but I'm full of opinion, and I express my opinion every day when I stream here. Even when I don't stream, I express my opinion on the news. But this is giving opinion, which is what you guys are known for. You're not known for your news gathering or your news department. MSNBC is known for your opinion department. I had to take a drink of lemonade. I'm not going to read the rest of this because, I mean, I've barely gotten through half of it. As you can see, they're talking about CNBC, you know, and the other stuff there. But yeah, there's come the end of the year, it is going to be MS Now, and you'll no longer have the MSNBC logo. I wonder what that's going to do with the contracts between everybody at MSNBC. You know, how many people are going to try to redo their contracts because, well, my contract was with MSNBC, not MS Now. And since that company no longer exists, I need a new contract. I don't think anybody would be smart to try that. Because they are going to have a lot of expenses to put up with for the next few months. Getting ready for this. So, oh, earlier I said that anybody who slams, disrespects Trump or JD, they get praised for it. They get, held up as icons, regardless of whether or not they're really qualified to say what they're saying. Just the mere fact that they uttered words of disrespect, uttered words bashing or being rude or crude to Trump or anybody in their administration gets them held up as some sort of a hero. Okay. Well, just as another example of that, I have no clue who in the hell Jack White is. Grammy winning artist Jack White. There's a picture of him right there. I mean, he looks like something that would come out of Hollywood, all pasty faced and all. It's like, all right, just in that pursed little mouth, is he trying to kiss you or what? I just don't know what to say about that. The former White Stripe. Who the hell is White Stripe? Got no clue. Evidently, is some sort of band of renowned band group from a while ago. I mean, that's broken up, no longer performing, or at least not with him. The former White Stripes frontman, who's been an outspoken critic of Trump, shared a photo of the two politicians sitting in the Oval Office surrounded by gold ornaments. Talk about the meeting between Trump and Zelensky. Look how disgusting Trump has transformed the historic White House he began. It's now a vulgar, gold leaf and gaudy, a professional wrestler's dressing room. Can't wait for the UFC match on the front lawn. He's almost fully achieved the movie Idiocracy. White, who has previously uh, labeled Trump an obvious fascist and a wannabe dictator after he won the 2024 election, continued. Look at this disgusting taste. Would you even buy a used car from this con man, let alone give him the nuclear codes? A gold-plated Trump Bible would look perfect on that man with a pair of Trump shoes on either side. What an embarrassment to American history. It's, yeah, I've never heard of this character until this come up in my feed this morning. Meanwhile, he heaped praise on Zelensky, concluding his post with, also pictured in this photograph, a real leader of a nation in a black suit. Does that, I mean, really? Presidents remodel, redecorate the Oval Office when they come in to suit their personal taste. We all know Trump is a fan of gold. He loves gold. So should we be surprised that he brought some gold color into the Oval Office to reflect his personality? No. Obama brought in stuff to reflect his personality. Biden brought in things to reflect his personality. Every president does it. And whether or not it's to your taste doesn't matter. It's to his taste. Because for 4 years, that's his office. Do we think that, I mean, is there an argument to be made that the Oval Office should remain decorated the same for the most part between every president to show that that office isn't of the man but of the position? There is a very strong argument for that. That a president should be severely restricted on what he can do to redecorate. He wants to bring in photographs, fine. He wants to, bring in some photographs. He wants to bring in some busts. That's fine, yeah. A certain number of busts, certain number of photographs, a certain sizes to reflect, people who he looked up to or family photos, busts of, people again that he looked up to. Hey, I'm there's arguments to be made for that, and I could go with it. That the rug there, a certain size, certain color, certain stitching, yada yada. Okay, I could see that. Resolute desk. It's to stay there. So on and so forth. I I would have no problem if they would do that. But a lot of that's not there. So until that happens, each president can decorate it as they want within the limitations of what's there. Now, I'm sure that they get told when they come in that, you know, some of these things are here by tradition and should not be moved. They've been here for 100 years. So, that's pretty much where everybody expects them to stay. And a smart president would allow that kind of thing to stay because the eagle-eyed opposition is going. I mean, remember, he took out Martin Luther King's bust or something like that. No, he didn't. He just moved it. But I think Churchill's bust. I don't know. I just threw my hands up because that's how little I really cared about it. But the left really threw up a hissy fit over it because they couldn't see somebody's bust. Turned out a reporter was standing in front of it in that photograph. Uh, okay. Former FBI Director James Comey, he released a video. Former FBI Director released a video. And this thing's strange. It really is. I got to turn the volume up on this so you guys can hear it. Now, everybody makes fun of Trump, okay, because Orange Man, because he's got the white around his eyes, like, Comey, has he been doing the sunbed thing? You put the little cups over your eyes so you don't burn your eyeballs. So you got that white ring around your eyes themselves. Because that cup prevents the tanning bed from affecting you. But this is James Comey's Substack video that he released. So let's listen to James Comey here.
Everybody, welcome back to my Substack. Last week's cold turns out to have been COVID, quite a flashback. And Donald Trump is still president and still humiliating America on a national stage, standing next to Vladimir Putin. It's like a dream, a bad dream you can't wake up from.
Comey Remember, this guy used to be head of the FBI. Just remember that. This guy used to be the head of the FBI. I am sorry, but I do not remember. And, this could be my own piss poor memory. I fully admit that. But I do not remember other former FBI directors getting out there like this and saying this kind of stuff about a sitting president. Does he have the First Amendment right to do so? Yes, he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. He can get out there and say this. But as the former head of the FBI, is it really good for him to be good for the country? For him to be sitting out there and spouting this kind of nonsense? I mean, he's got the right to do it. It's his own opinion.
But I don't want to talk about that bad dream this week. I want to talk about a truly inspirational public figure named Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift being truly inspirational.
Of course, I watched her podcast interview with the Kelsey brothers. Of course, I watched the whole thing, although on YouTube, Patrice and I got kicked off for the last 15 minutes and finished it on her phone. But I watched it. You see, Taylor Swift and I go way back. I went to my first concert of hers 15 years ago. I've been to a second, and I have
15 years ago, wasn't she still country 15 years ago? Or did she make the crossover to pop about then? Because remember, she started off as a country artist.
helped financially support the attendance of a lot of family members at others. I'm in a family's Swiftie group chat. I know all her music and I listen to it in my headphones when I cut the grass. So yes, I have a favorite of hers, although honestly for me, it's a tie between All Too Well, 10-minute version, and Exile featuring Bon Iver.
A 10-minute song by Taylor Swift. I'm going to be honest, even when Taylor Swift started singing country, was a country singer, I did not care for it. I honestly, and I think, I don't like her voice. And I definitely don't like her music. And like I said, I didn't care for her when she was country. But I can't imagine listening to her for 10 minutes.
Taylor Swift has grown up with my family and provided us a soundtrack, really, as we've grown ourselves and learned and adapted and dealt with adversity and celebration. She had songs for all of it. I suspect that's something that millions of Americans have also experienced in their families. I think that's because Taylor Swift produces great art, but also because she models something. At every stage of her career, she's shown a certain way of being that resonated with my kids and also felt right to me as a parent. And she's still doing that as a grown-up. Like a lot of you, I struggle with how to stand up to bullies without letting their meanness infect me and change me. You may have seen that the governor of California has been generating a lot of attention lately by posting on social media in a satirical way where he mocks Donald Trump and his all caps megalomania and his absurdity. And I find it very funny, hilarious even sometimes. But I got to be honest, it also leaves me with a strange feeling at times because I don't want us to become like Trump and his followers. There are far more decent, honest, kind people in America than there are mean jerks.
As somebody who supports Donald Trump over Newsom, over Kamala, over Joe Biden, over Obama, over Bill Clinton, that automatically makes me a mean jerk? Simply because I disagree politically with people that evidently you support Newsom. And Newsom's attacks on Trump, they just, when he does do some of them, they just seem like weak-kneed imitations of what Trump has mastered, to ridicule people, to give them a nickname that accurately describes them a lot of times. And that's why it sticks with them. Little Marco. I forget what he called Ted Cruz. But, and even people that he ridiculed, turn around and support him. But you're calling him a mean jerk, but turn around and praising Newsom for trying to do the same thing. So I guess there, Comey, it's just all in the eye of the beholder. And because you support Newsom and don't support Trump, you enjoy watching Newsom attempt to do the same thing that Trump does as a matter of course.
And don't get me wrong, we have our jerks, millions of them. You may have noticed. In particular, there's a stunning coarseness and ugliness in the Republican Party today. It's upsetting, but it's also a minority of America. On the whole, we aren't like that, and we don't like that. I think that's a big part of the reason so few Americans support Donald Trump when they have to see him and that up close, and why Republicans are so.
Where are you getting your information from there, Comey? Where are you getting information that people who voted for Trump all of a sudden don't support him? Where are you getting this information that people who voted for Trump are now not supporting him? Trump is doing what he said he was going to do when he ran for office. I voted for Trump because of what he said he was going to do. Promises made, promises kept. And that may be your problem, is that he's keeping the campaign promises that he made. And you don't like that.
Worried about what's coming for them next year. And to be clear, I am not an advocate for weakness. Of course, we need to stand up to jerks and defend what matters. But I think we have to try to do that without becoming like them, which is what makes me think about Taylor Swift. She's made clear that she sees Donald Trump for what he is, And last year, she urged Americans not to make the serious mistake of electing him. Of course, we're now living with the consequences of that mistake. But while our elders,
we're living with the consequences of having Joe Biden and Mayorkas and Kamala in office for 4 years, ignoring immigration law, ignoring millions of people coming across our borders illegally and staying in the country. In fact, welcoming them, praising them for coming in, calling them brave, giving them free money, free medical, free clothes, free cell phones, culturally appropriate foods, first class hotel accommodations. Now we're living with that mistake. Like I've said before, okay, when you see a janitor cleaning up a mess that other people made, why, who do you get mad at? Do you get mad at the janitor who's having to clean up the mess? Or do you get mad at the people that made the mess? You're getting mad at the janitor cleaning up Biden's and Kamala's and Mayorkas's mess. The mess made by the Democratic mayors and governors of this country who welcomed in all these illegals and are now looking to the federal government to bail them out because they're running out of money because they spent billions of dollars on illegals. Yeah, it seems like, we're being jerks, as you say, because we're trying to clean up messes that your side, people that you support, made. Parents, and I am not saying Trump is our parent. I'm not saying that. It reminds me of the ponytail guy back there in the Bush, Clinton, Ross Perot debates. But parents, you sometimes aren't considered nice and are considered to be jerks by their children because parents are enforcing rules that the children don't like. Well, the president is supposed to enforce the laws of our country. And you don't like that this president is enforcing the immigration laws. You don't like that. Because you don't like that. Taylor Swift don't like that. Newsom don't like that. Hochul and all these other governors and mayors don't like that. You're calling Trump a jerk, calling him a meanie, and calling those of us that support him jerks and meanies. We're just wanting the laws enforced. Laws that were ignored for 3.5 years.
literally makeup covered president is posting about whether Taylor Swift is still hot and declaring that he can't stand her. What's she doing? Living her best life, producing great music, and, as she urged all of us to do during the podcast,
Great music. It's a matter of taste. It's a matter of taste whether or not it's great music.
not giving the jerks power over her mind. She said something about dealing with internet trolls that stuck with me. Think of your energy as if it's expensive, she said, as if it's like a luxury item. Not everyone can afford it. I really enjoy reading Arthur Brooks, who writes columns about happiness in The Atlantic. I don't know if he's a Swiftie, but last week he wrote about research on the way that being rude or snarky actually hurts the rude person. As he wrote, when you become less polite, the alteration in your conduct can make you less happy, more depressed, and angrier about life.
Yeah,
I know you get that even without the research. Just watch
pop
Fox
psychology.
News or hang around on X and you'll see what he means. We can't stop people from being jerks. What we can do is stop it.
You know, most of the jerks that I've seen on X, most of the jerks I've seen on TikTok, most of the jerk creators I've seen on YouTube, they're on your side of the aisle, buddy. They're Swifties. They're Newsom supporters. They're Biden and Kamala supporters. That's most of the jerks I've seen.
From hurting us, from changing us. At my second Taylor Swift concert in Hartford, Connecticut, 14 years ago this summer, she sang a song about this topic, asking, why you gotta be so mean? And she spoke directly to the nasty people. I bet you got pushed around. Somebody made you cold. But the cycle ends right now because you can't lead me down that road. You'll be glad I didn't sing that. That's right. Because down that road is unhappiness. Nobody should have that power over us. Thank you, Taylor Swift. Keep the faith.
This guy used to be the head of the FBI. Just absolutely amazing. Let's see here. Oh, excuse me. I don't know where that came from. All I did was set up. I was reading an article this morning, and the basis of the article was a dangerous creature out there that is a cross between a tortoise and the Gila monster. Because evidently they were trying to get the venom from the Gila monster, but the Gila monster was very fast, so they decided to cross it with the tortoise, and hopefully the hybrid would have the venom of the Gila monster, but the inability to move quick as the tortoise. The biology of these creatures are too far different, to my mind, that it'd be impossible to cross it. But this newspaper article is saying that scientists crossed it, and that some had gotten out, were living in the wild of the marshlands around Florida and such, Louisiana. Never heard of this. So, I mean, I decided to check AI and see what they had to say about this. Did scientists make a hybrid cross between a Gila monster and I put in as and any other creature? Didn't want to restrict it just to tortoises, because it could have been like a snapping turtle or any kind of turtle or anything like that, any other reptile. I just said any other creature. No specific evidence. Yes, scientists have attempted to create hybrids between the Gila monster and other creatures, although such experiments have been rare and typically involve human intervention. There have been attempts to create animal-human hybrids, but none have survived. Additionally, researchers have sequenced the genomes of Gila monsters, indicating ongoing scientific evidence interest in their biology. However, there is no specific evidence of a cross between the Gila monster and any other creature in the results. So, yeah. And if you look over here on this side, related searches, did scientists make a Gila monster DNA, aliens, dinosaurs, sequencing, Gila monsters, and tortoise? So you click on the Gila monster and tortoise, and there's nothing about a hybrid. Uh, Now, there is the creature called a Gila monster tortoise, but it's not a hybrid. It's the real thing. I mean, it's just a tortoise that they named it the Gila monster tortoise. So, yeah, there's that. Okay, close that, close that, close that. And I mean, have been some hybrided animals. Okay. The Growler bear. It's a cross between, it's a love child between a polar bear and a grizzly bear. Yeah, thank you, but no thank you. I do not want to be anywhere near that thing. A gazelle and a yak and domestic cattle. Okay, I wonder if you can milk it, the female. Yep, they're seen as bigger and better producers of milk and meat. Cool. A coy wolf, cross between a coyote and an eastern or gray wolf. All right. Oh, that's a nice looking animal. I wouldn't mind having one of those as a pet. A liger, cross between a lion and a tiger. That is ugly. I am sorry, but that is an ugly creature. I don't know if he's just ugly because he's been kept in a cage, and if he was out in the wild, he would look different, but more muscular. Yeah, a wolf dog. I've had a friend of mine that had a wolf dog. So Wow, a puma tard. Cross between a cougar and a leopard. Puma pard. Now that's a nightmare animal. Wow. A Bengal cat. Asian leopard cat and a domesticated cat. Okay. My wife would like that. Looks like this is short hair. Okay, we all know mules are uh, hybrids and they're sterile. A henny, male horse with a female donkey. Okay. Hennies are smaller than mules. Okay. A zebra and a donkey. It's donkey. All right. That is a camel and a llama. Male camel and a female llama, and you get this. Interesting. An arluga, beluga whale, and a narwhal. Oh, he didn't get the horn. Oh, that's a shame. You got the coloration, but not the horn. That's a shame. Let's see here. Since we did talk about ice a few times, Margaret Cho had some choice words for Dean Cain. You know, Dean Cain played Superman on TV, and he seems to be a really nice guy. Not maybe not Canoe Reeves level of nice, but still for a Hollywood actor, a nice guy. Margaret Cho, well, she's racist. She doesn't like white people. She doesn't like men, and she went after Dean Cain because he got sworn in as an ICE agent this year. Dean Cain was slammed as a loser by John Leguizamo, and a pathetic loser by Glee star Kevin McHale. Uh, John Leguizamo, I know I'm not pronouncing his last name right, and I don't care. Uh, he's a decent actor, I guess. I mean, I remember him more being the evil clown character from the Spawn movie. I love that Spawn movie. That Spawn movie was, I loved it. I thought it was great. And then being the car shop guy in the John Wick series. Uh, and he's had other shows, but those are the only two things I can remember him being in off the top of my head. Kevin McHale, never heard of it. But Margaret Cho, well, she got a little angry with him. This is what she had to say. Why would you join ICE and encourage people to join ICE when your ancestors were interned in World War II? You're Japanese. You're not even white. I know you, and you are not white. You've never been white. No matter how many of these white activities you participate in, is never going to make that happen. You are never going to be white. No matter how racist you are, no matter how wrong you act, you will always be wrong, never white, dumbass. Is Margaret Cho going to get berated? Is she going to get canceled for her commentary there? You know, because it's a bit racist. I mean, if I said the same thing about somebody, but instead of saying all that about being white, saying it about being black or saying it about being Hispanic, you know, if I said all that about Margaret Cho, but instead, you know, she's never going to be black or she's never going to be Hispanic. You know, people be coming at me about being a racist. But nobody's going to touch her. Dean Cain, you know, he's a conservative. He's admitted he's come out for conservative causes many times. I give his personal opinion about politics as much weight as I give Taylor Swift's personal opinions about politics, which is basically none. I don't put these people up on pedestals and say because so and so is saying this, I'm going to agree with it. That's not the way I do things. And that's the way nobody should do that. That's why I get frustrated when people say, well, you know, Taylor Swift said this. And why should I believe it just because Taylor Swift said it? Why should I believe it just because Dick Durbin said it? Why should I believe it just because Chuck Schumer said it? Chuck Schumer's been caught in so many lies this past year, it's not funny. Dick Durbin's been caught in so many lies, it's not funny. It's not just Democrats have been caught in lies. There's been Republicans out there caught in lies. Or distortions or mistakes. Now, what I talk about, okay, I try to research. If I'm going to say something for fact, I try to research it and show you guys and show where I got this fact from. But what I say most times is my opinion. Now, could I have a wrong opinion? Yes, I could have a wrong opinion because I didn't have enough facts about something to form my opinion on. And when new facts come along, then I can change my opinion. But I don't want anybody to ever say, "Well, Shroom said this, so I've got to believe it." No, please don't do that. Go out there and do your own research. Look at it yourself, then form your opinion. And if you disagree with me, let me know. If you got a microphone, come on and tell me. Be more than glad to let you do that. So, but anyhow, but I tell you what, I do my best not to say anything racist. I've had to bite my tongue several times because, you know, I've come close to saying something that could be mistaken as racist or be taken as racist. And I don't want that to color that view to color anything I may say. But I mean, I've been called a racist, I've been called a homophobe, I've been called a xenophobe. It doesn't matter to me. I've been called sexist. The only time I've ever been called anything or told something that bothered me and I let it bother me too much is when I was told that I intentionally lied to you guys and that I treated Ramen and Dar badly. That I took personally. Because I won't lie to you. I do my best to present anything that I say is a fact. I do my best to show you where I got that fact from. But anyway, guys, uh, tomorrow's Wednesday. I won't be here. Friday, I don't know what's going on with Friday yet. My wife is telling me that some friends we haven't seen in about 15 years is coming nearby town, and we're going to take a 2.5 hour drive to go visit them on Friday. So I don't know Friday morning. I may be able to stream, but it may be ending up being a short stream. I don't know yet. But I do know that, let's see here. Thursday I will be here, and good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. So until then, the three of you out there listening to me, y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. And have fun. Later, all.